a lot of the questions that I get in working with leaders and working with teams, working with organizations, and especially around mindset, but also around leadership and around culture and around communication, around getting healthy as leaders and teams. Man, Kevin, this is hard, right? This is difficult. That's a lot of the response that I get, right? Building a healthy mindset is difficult. Building a healthy mindset is hard. Building a healthy mindset is uncomfortable, right? Because it forces you to deal with things that you maybe have ignored or maybe that you haven't dealt with in the past. And it always takes longer than you think it will. It's always harder than you expected it to be. And I think that's true of anything around getting better, right? I just mentioned, losing weight. Well, that's always harder than you think it's going to be. It always takes longer than you think it's going to take. And even that forces you to deal with some things that maybe you haven't dealt with in the past. And so it is uncomfortable. It is difficult. It does take a long time. It's hard, right? Building a healthy mindset. We've been talking about it now on Monday Mindset for over a year. And I hope that none of what you've heard out of this is that it's easy, right? I know I talked about the mindset of flipping a switch. And yes, it's flipping a switch from being negative to positive, from doubtful to hopeful, from anxious to at peace. But you don't just flip that switch once. You flip that switch over and over and over and over again, right? It's not a one-time thing. You have to continually work at it, because what's true is that we return to what we have rehearsed. And too many of us have rehearsed negative thoughts. We've rehearsed lies. We've rehearsed doubts. We've rehearsed worries. We've rehearsed anxieties. And so under pressure, we return to those thoughts. We return to those thought patterns, right? There's a saying in the Navy SEALs that you fall to your level of training, right? When the stress hits, you fall to your level of training. That's why you train to be the best, so that when pressure hits, your training, your preparation is at an elite level, at a high level. The same is true for mindset. Under pressure, you want to return to what you've rehearsed, and you want what you've rehearsed to be the right things, right? Positive thoughts, confident thoughts, humble thoughts, powerful thoughts, resilient thoughts, so that powers you through those moments. But it's difficult. It's hard. It's time consuming. It's uncomfortable. Yes. Here's what I will tell you. It's difficult to do all those things. It's difficult to build the right mindset, but wouldn't you say it's difficult to have a weak mindset? Wouldn't you say it's difficult to have a worried mindset? Wouldn't you say that makes things in your life a lot more difficult? When you have the wrong mindset, everything gets more difficult. Pressure becomes heavier. Stress becomes more stressful. Disconnect becomes even stronger. Relationships become more difficult, right? Everything gets more difficult when you don't have the right mindset, right? Because your mindset shapes your actions shape your thoughts. So an unhealthy mindset leads to unhealthy actions, which leads to an unhealthy reality. Thoughts, actions, outcomes. Thoughts, actions, reality. So if you have a weak mindset, you're creating difficulty in your life, right? Your unhealthy mindset, your weak mindset, your negative mindset is making everything around you more difficult. So it's difficult, right? Having a negative, unhealthy mindset is difficult. Building a positive, healthy mindset is difficult. Both paths are difficult. That's not fun to hear, right? We want to hear like, hey, do this, and things like it's easy, it's better, it's more fun. It will be, but it's difficult, right? On the other side of a healthy mindset is better relationships, are better actions, are better outcomes, are better realities, because you've done the work. You've worked through the difficult part, and on the other side of it, there's peace, and there's productivity, and there's contentment, there is resilience, there's positivity. On the other side of an unhealthy mindset, which is already difficult, is more difficulty. And so the question is like, which path do you want? Which difficult path do you want? Because both paths are going to be difficult. Both paths are going to be uncomfortable. Both paths are going to be time consuming. The question is, which path of difficulty do you want? Do you want the difficult path that leads to drama and disconnect and bitterness and frustration and anxiety and worry and doubt? Or do you want the difficult path that battles through those things to create peace and hope and connection and confidence and resilience and positivity? We have to choose our difficult. We have to choose our hard. The challenge is to choose the difficulty that will actually make you and those around you better. All right, if things are going to be difficult, I want them to be difficult for the right reasons. If things are going to be difficult, I want them to be difficult because it means I'm working through things to make myself and others and my reality better. Not just working through difficulty just to keep having a difficult life. Not battling through difficulties just to have more difficulty. Right? That's not what we were made for. We weren't made to just constantly be treading water in a difficult life. That's not what we were made for. That's not what our relationships were made for. That's not what our influence was made for. That's not what our teams are created for. We're created to show up on purpose and to live lives of confidence and peace and humility and connection and relationship. That only happens with the right mindset. That only happens when you battle through the difficult things the right way. So again, we back up and say, what path of difficulty do you want? Do you want short-term difficulty for long-term peace, or do you want short-term difficulty with more long-term difficulty? I don't want that kind of life. I don't want everything to always be an exhausting, unnecessary battle. I want to fight the right battles for the right reasons to get better outcomes. Not to just be stuck in never-ending battles of exhaustion, of anxiety, of worry, because I have a difficult mindset. So again, is it hard to build a right mindset? Is it hard to build a healthy mindset? Absolutely. Right? If this was easy, everyone would have a healthy mindset. If this was easy, we would have no issues in the world, right? Everyone would show up, we'd be confident, we'd have humility, we'd be positive, we would connect well, we'd work hard. But that's not the reality of the world that we live in. Because again, everyone is returning to what they've rehearsed, and what most of us have rehearsed are the lies that come with an unhealthy mindset. And so when we get critiqued by our boss, when we get challenged by our spouse, when we speak up and we get rejected, we return to those unhealthy lies that we've rehearsed for our whole life. So we have to rewire those. We have to create new patterns, new habits, new actions, new disciplines, so that when we get challenged, we don't get defensive. When we get questioned, we don't shut down. When we get rejected, we don't quit. All right, we continue to pursue, we continue to press on, we continue to believe, we continue to show up. If we return to what we've rehearsed, we want to rehearse better habits. We want to rehearse a better mindset, but it's a discipline and it takes time and it's difficult. So number one, just an acknowledgement of that, right? We need to have realistic expectations as we're going through life to expect it to be difficult, right? That way we're not surprised at how hard it is. We knew it was going to be this difficult. We knew it was going to be hard. So number one, just a resetting of expectations to acknowledge that the path of building a healthy mindset is in fact difficult. But number two, an encouragement that to battle through that difficulty is worth it, right? Because on the other side of that difficulty is the peace and the hope and the confidence and the resilience that you actually want. And so to keep showing up in the midst of that difficulty, but choose the right difficult path. Choose the difficult path that results in you being better and results in everyone around you better, not the difficult path that just results in more difficulty. So we get to choose our path. We get to choose our hard. We get to choose our difficult. The question each day for us is, which path are we going to choose? Tracy, any thoughts on that?
Well, kind of like most of the weeks when you share with something, it's like it sort of seeps into every area of your life. It's just it's the same about your finances. If you do the hard things now, you generally have more money later. If you train up your child well, generally, you won't have so many difficulties later. Not always a guarantee, but yeah, it's putting those processes in place, those disciplines in place. And for some of us, it's harder than others. I think some are naturally more bent toward a disciplined mindset and some are not, but it's not an excuse,
That's right. So, that's a great point, is that for some, it is a little more natural.
Yeah.
But it is also a skill. It's both, right? And so if it's not a natural thing for you, that's okay. Because another conversation I've had recently with people, I can't do that. That's just not me. I can't think like that. You can't or you won't. Right? It's like, don't give yourself an out by saying that you can't, because that absolves yourself of the responsibility. You're like, I can, I just won't. Like, okay, well, that's a different conversation. But it is a skill that you can learn.
Yeah. Anthony's asking asking a question. I believe we can also be in an environment where those around us rehearse those negative thoughts for us. So true. Who you surround yourself with and matters. Yes. Can you speak to the practice of creating a personal advisory board to help positively push you forward with the right thinking?
Yeah, that's a huge point, Anthony, right? Because people around us, if we're surrounded by people who are returning to what they've rehearsed, which has been unhealthy, that's then coming out onto us, right? We are that unhealthy mindset is what gets multiplied, right? Whatever your mindset is, it's multiplying. And so if you're surrounded by negative people, by people with weak mindsets, like that's coming out on you. And so one, you have that's why it's so important for you to build your own mindset, right? So that you don't fall influence to that you can battle that the right way. But two, this idea of a personal advisory board. So for those who are unfamiliar, it's basically just having a group of people in your life who can speak truth to you, who believe in you, who encourage you. They'll critique when they need to critique, but people who you trust, people who know you, who know what you're about. And when you can go to say, I'm struggling, they say, I've got you. Because look, we all have off days, and we need people to believe in us. And we need to be people who believe in others when they're having an off day. And so who in your life do you know, do you trust? And I would say this isn't a hard and fast rule, but who are a little bit ahead of you, who can speak wisdom, who can speak life, who can speak encouragement. I mean, I have about 4 or 5 people that I'm willing to go to in life. One, they have full permission to say anything, and I'll trust them. I'll listen to them. Right? Whether it's a hard truth they're going to speak or an encouragement, I'm going to listen to them. But to have a personal advisory board that has authority in your life that can counter the negative voices that may be seeping in, or maybe you're just in an unhealthy place, right? For whatever reason, you've just been in an unhealthy season. You have people you can go to say, hey, my thought life isn't where it needs to be, which means the rest of my life isn't where it needs to be. I need your encouragement. I need your belief. Do you still think I have what it takes? And have people like that who will speak into your life. And for some of you, that may just sound really cheesy. Try it. Like it's again, I don't guarantee many things in life. I will guarantee the value of having a personal advisory board. I mean, it's one of the, trying to not be connected, I'm not trying to overhype it. I think it's one of the best and most significant things I've done in my life is have people like that. And it's something I'm like, we're modeling it for my kids.
Yeah.
Like right now, we've already chosen certain adults that can be that right now for our kids, because we know every now and then as our kids get older, like as much as we want them to come to us with everything, they're not. I don't have an unrealistic expectations. Like I know they won't. Well, who can they go to? And so already setting it up for them, like, hey, you can go, if you don't want to talk to me, I get it. I hope you do, but I understand. But this person, you can trust. Yeah. And they can keep it confident, whatever it may be. And set that up with those people as well, right? Hey, you're someone that I trust, that I value, that I respect. You're a person for my son. Like they may come to you at some point.
Which is speaking to what you just said, like you're choosing your adversity, choosing your hard. It's hard to maintain relationships with people for decades. Mm-hmm. It really does take investing. It takes time. It takes intentionality. And if you really do want your 3 boys to have these adults in their life through their life, mm-hmm. that's an investment, right? And that's hard, but it's so worth it. And just thinking back to the ladies that I spent the week with, I mean, that's 32 years of investing in one another, working through difficulties. It hasn't always been perfect. We've had disagreements, but we've kept in there to keep that going so that we have this long-term, and it is an advisory group. And talking about children, one of the ladies was saying, oh, so-and-so's kids came and stayed with me while they were on their way on a trip. And I thought that's incredible that we've grown. And now our children, we can trust them with our children. We can entrust what wisdom they're going to impart to them. And so it's hard and so worth it.
And to Anthony's point, it's like, you always need an out, right? Because like if you don't have this group that can speak healthy things to you, positive things to you, encouragement to you, like you may be stuck. Right? Because if you're in a situation where you're surrounded by negative voices and you don't have this personal advisory board or whatever you want to call it, you're stuck. Yeah. So you need something that will counter the negativity of the world whenever that becomes overwhelming. Because we've all been in situations, difficult boss, difficult team, difficult season, whatever, right? Things happen. And if you're surrounded by difficult people, you have to counter that with people who have better mindsets.
So true. Well, thank you, Anthony. That was a great conversation there. Great tip. And Kevin, thank you as always. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thanks for hanging out, everyone.
Yeah, we'll see you all next Monday, same time. Bye-bye.